This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Swedish heavyweight contender Otto Wallin over Zoom. Otto, always a pleasure. How are you on this weekend?
I'm good, thanks. Just waking up and just had breakfast. Gonna go for some sparring in Brooklyn soon, so I think that would be good.
I'm glad to hear. Obviously, you've got a busy weekend ahead of you, and yeah, you've just woken up. And as always, the boxing world likes to throw us into kind of some form of turmoil. Obviously, we had the highs of Spence Crawford last weekend and what that meant for the sport, and obviously, we've just had the lows of the breaking news that Dillian Whyte has had a positive test come back. I wanted to get your immediate reaction to hearing that news.
Yeah, my immediate reaction is that obviously I woke up, didn't know about it, and heard about it now, and there's not too much information yet, so it's a bit too early to just jump to conclusions. But at the same time, this is the third time this has happened for him, so he's very suspicious. And I think there's a reason why it's happened for him three times. And you take a fighter like me, it's never happened, and that's because I don't take anything that's shady. I don't take any steroids, anything. So I'm very aware of what I'm taking, so that's not gonna happen for me. So it's all very suspicious. Like I feel like, I mean, there's no smoke without fire. So three times is it's just it's not looking good for him.
You've just said, this is the third time that he's had a positive finding come back. What goes through kind of your mind knowing that this isn't just kind of the first?
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying. It's very annoying. I feel like, okay, maybe somebody does a mistake, get called once. He's done it twice. He's been caught twice already before this. He fought that fight against Rivas after he got busted, and they let him fight anyways. I think that was terrible. And at least now they cancel the fight. But just imagine if he's been caught for steroids three times, how many times has he not been caught? It's just it's not good, and it's a dangerous sport, and we don't need that.
Otto, as somebody who was previously lined up and scheduled to face Dillian until he pulled out of that fight, do you kind of look back to it back then, and do you have any kind of thoughts that make you wonder about how the fight may have played out? And yeah, if you'd have shared the ring back when you were scheduled to and signed up to.
Well, I mean, the tricky part is for a guy like me, I want the big fight, and to get big fights, you need to beat highly rated guys, and he was one of them. And I knew about his failed drug tests, of course, but there's only so much you can do at it for it. Like I have to fight somebody to get up there, and even if he's failed drug tests, it's just the reality of boxing. It's very sad that some people take steroids and drugs and get an unfair edge. I still think that would have beat him because, I mean, I don't think that he's gonna change just because he's doing steroids now. I think he's been doing it before. But you give me a second, Andy.
Yeah, Otto, we'll just pick that back up there. We had a brief interference or brief issue that you just kind of had to go and tend to. But yeah, just talking about when you and Dillian were previously scheduled to face each other.
Yeah, it's just it's difficult for you have a guy like me coming up and want to fight the big fights, and to do that, you got to go through guys that are highly ranked, and he was one of them. Of course, I knew about his failed drug tests before, but I kind of still need to take fights like that because that's the way you get to the top. It's just how that's how boxing is, unfortunately, and it's sad. It's sad for boxing. I think there's no place for drugs in this sport, especially when it's so dangerous. So yeah, it's very disappointing.
Otto, there's still question marks as to whether or not the show will go ahead next weekend. Well, from what I've seen on social media, Eddie's looking for a replacement opponent for Anthony Joshua. I know it's a week out, it's a massive fight, but if the call came, would you accept?
I think I would, but they would have to pay me. I think. I mean, I'm in good shape. I feel like I'm hoping to have a fight soon. So I'm in training. Like I said, I'm got sparring lined up for today. Um, but I think it would be good. I think it's a great show actually, and it's a lot of good fights, and nice to see all those heavyweights out there. And I would love to be a part of it. Uh, yeah. So I mean, I'm in good shape already, so I'll be ready for it.
You mentioned obviously you was in training for a fight on the horizon. Can you fill us in as to what you have lined up?
Yeah, I don't have anything lined up yet, but I've been in discussions for a fight in September. and I think that would be great opportunity for me, and it will leave me in a good place after. So I'm really hoping that's gonna come through.
Is the hope, I imagine, obviously you get this big fight out of the way and more doors will open up for you, and you've spoken with people about kind of what other opportunities could be beyond your September about outing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been having a lot of good talks, and nothing set yet, of course, but I'm hoping to have it all sorted out very soon.
Just want to get your thoughts on a few other fights, which, well, one that's just happened and a couple which are on the horizon. Just keeping with a fellow Southpaw fighter, I want to get your thoughts on Terence Crawford's unbelievable performance last weekend against Errol Spence.
It was really unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I mean, he just went through him, and I've always seen that fight as a 50-50 fight, and I really rate Spence and Crawford. And excuse me, I always felt like Spence was a little bit better. So I was very surprised when that happened. And, you know, I just have to wonder how much that car accident took out of Spence, because it didn't seem right. I mean, Crawford is an amazing fighter, but something just felt off with Spence. He couldn't take the shots, and, you know, he was lethargic and things. So all credit to Spence, to Crawford, of course, but it was just, you just wonder a little bit.
And just going back up to heavyweights, but sticking with Southpaw talk, Zhang-Joyce 2 on the horizon. Do you expect anything different in their rematch?
I don't know. It's a good question. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But there's a reason why Joyce got injured last time, because Zhang, I mean, couldn't really miss him. And I think that Zhang, his confidence probably grew a lot. It's a huge win for him. And you have a guy like Joyce, his defense is really his offense. So maybe he's lost a little bit of that confidence now, and that feeling of being invincible, maybe. That's my guess. So we see what happens in that fight. But I think, I mean, I gotta give the edge to Zhang and to win again.
And the final one, to get your thoughts on your former opponent, Tyson Fury, will be facing MMA star Francis Ngannou in October. It's not the fight which kind of a boxing world was happy about, but it's the one we're getting. It will be a massive event regardless, but just your thoughts on Fury and Ngannou.
I think that, you know, Fury, he's making a lot of money for a somewhat easy fight, I think. And Ngannou never been in a boxing match before, and this is 12 rounds, which is completely different to an MMA fight. So, you know, it's gonna be an easy win for Fury, I believe. And I kind of understand why he does it, because he will make a lot of money from an easy fight, but it's disappointing for us other guys. We want him to fight boxers and to defend his belts or belt.
That was going to be the last one. One more. Obviously, Daniel Dubois and Alexander Usyk facing each other later this month. A lot of people kind of writing Daniel off before the fights even come around. Do you give him much of a chance?
I think he's always gonna have a chance because he's a big puncher and he's a strong guy. And Usyk, he looked great with Joshua, but he didn't look that good with Chisora and Witherspoon, actually. So we see it's all about styles, but of course Usyk is gonna be a big favorite. But I don't think you can count anyone out, especially if they're a big puncher like Dubois.
Right, I appreciate you jumping on first thing in the morning for you over there in the States. I'll leave you to obviously go and get ready for your sparring, and thank you for speaking to me in Boxing News.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andy.